What if I told you that a single stabbing over 2,000 years ago still shapes how you pay your bills, vote in elections, and even think about power? Seems ridiculous, right? But the ghost of Julius Caesar is a lot closer than you think. We all know the story on the surface. The great Roman general, turned dictator, stabbed to death by his own senators on the Ides of March. The ultimate betrayal. But that's just the drama. What truly matters to your life right now is what happened after Caesar's blood soaked the Senate floor. Because that day didn't just end one man's life. It ended the Roman Republic, and by doing so, it set into motion a series of events that would build the very foundations of Western civilization and all its flaws. Imagine living in Rome back then. You were a citizen of the Republic, a system where the Senate had power, where leaders were temporary, where tyranny was despised. Caesar changed all that. He centralized power, named himself dictator for life, and many hoped killing him would restore the Republic. But did it? His assassination threw Rome into years of brutal civil wars. Legions slaughtered each other in the streets, old families were wiped out, and when the dust settled, Rome wasn't a republic anymore. There was an empire. And that empire, under Augustus, didn't just rule Rome. It created a template for all future authoritarian regimes. Think about it. Every dictator, every empire since, learned from Rome's successes and its failures. From Napoleon to Hitler, from Stalin to modern strongmen. They studied how Rome held the masses, built propaganda, crushed dissent. But here's the part that should disturb you most. It's not just about kings or presidents. It's about you, when you pay your taxes. Thank Rome, they formalized large-scale tax systems to feed their armies. When you serve on a jury, Roman law gave us the concept of citizens judging citizens. When you write a date, say July 15th. July is named after Julius Caesar. August, named after Augustus. Even our calendar's basically Caesar's. The Julian calendar, later tweaked into what we now call the Gregorian. So every single day, when you look at your phone to check the date, you're staring at a system created by a dictator, who was murdered because he threatened an old democracy. Here's a question. Was Caesar really the villain? Or was he just a symptom? The Roman Republic was corrupt. The Senate was full of elites serving themselves. The common people wanted a strong leader to fix things, to give them bread, games, security. Sound familiar? History repeats, because human nature doesn't change. We crave strong leaders when we're afraid. We let go of freedoms in exchange for promises of stability. Isn't that exactly what happened in countless countries over the last century? So maybe Caesar didn't die that day. Maybe he lives on in every populist leader, in every emergency law that takes more power from the people and gives it to the few. Maybe you're still living under a new kind of empire, just wrapped in modern flags. Here's what they won't teach you in school. Power never disappears. It just changes hands, changes clothes, changes slogans. After Caesar, the Roman people were told they were still free. They still had a Senate. They still voted, sort of. It was a comfortable illusion. What about today? Do you truly have a say in how your country is run? Or are your choices carefully controlled, narrowed down by parties, corporations, lobbyists? When you pay half your income in taxes, when your data is collected, when laws pass without your input, is that freedom? Or is it a sophisticated echo of the empire that rose after Caesar's death? Okay, cool history lesson, but what do I do with it? It's simple. Start seeing the patterns. Start questioning the systems that claim to protect you. Every time a crisis hits and leaders call for temporary emergency powers, remember Caesar. Remember that sometimes. The dagger doesn't kill the tyrant, it kills the republic. And once you've lost those freedoms, you rarely get them back. Let's take this deeper. What if Caesar's murder wasn't just a desperate act of scared senators? What if it was orchestrated? Think about who benefited most. The conspirators wanted to save the republic. At least that's what the history books claim. The same senators who thrust the knives into Caesar's body soon found themselves stripped of authority. Many were hunted down, exiled, or quietly eliminated. If saving the republic was the plan, it failed spectacularly. Unless that was never the real plan. They could break the old system entirely. They didn't kill Caesar to save the republic. They killed him to kill the republic itself. Then rebuild it in a way that kept them in control, through new figureheads like Augustus. Here's where it gets eerily familiar. After Caesar's death, the people of Rome were whipped into a frenzy. Mark Antony read Caesar's will aloud, revealing money and land left to ordinary citizens. He showed them Caesar's blood-stained cloak. The crowd rioted, burned houses, slaughtered suspected conspirators. Do you see the pattern? A shocking act. A charismatic leader steps up, appeals directly to the masses, rallies them around fear, anger, grief. We've seen it over and over. Terror attacks, assassinations, economic crashes. Each time people beg for order, and each time, powerful men step in to restore stability, usually by taking more control. Isn't it strange how human beings, across all ages, seem to prefer comfortable slavery over messy freedom? Think you're safe because you live under a modern flag? Because you vote every few years? Because you have social media to speak your mind? Let's be honest. Most elections give you 2 or 3 candidates, all backed by the same wealthy donors. Your algorithms are carefully designed to show you only certain narratives. News outlets are owned by corporations who lobby the same governance they're supposed to hold accountable. So who's really pulling the strings? Does it sound that different from Rome, where citizens gathered in the forum to hear carefully crafted speeches, where the Senate made deals in secret, where mobs were fed bread and circuses to keep them distracted? Look closer at how we live. Our entire concept of cities, paved roads radiating from a central hub, aqueducts, sewers, organized police forces, all Roman designs. Spread by emperors after Caesar's death, the idea that law stands above all. Roman invention. Equality before the law sounded noble, but in practice, it let elites wrap their power in the language of justice, because they controlled the courts. And that's not just history. Look at modern financial crashes. When banks gamble and lose, who pays? You do. When powerful people commit crimes, how often do they actually go to jail? Maybe the Romans would recognize it instantly. The rich writing laws that protect themselves. Bread and games for everyone else. So here's what you need to ask yourself, not in some abstract, philosophical way, but directly. How free are you really? Do you control your labor, your property, your time? Or do you give half your life away to taxes and debt? Do you pick your leaders, or do billionaires fund their campaigns in media echo chambers until you believe you picked them yourself? If Caesar's assassination was supposed to save the Republic, then your vote is supposed to save democracy. But who counts the votes? Who makes the voting districts? Who decides which parties get airtime, which movements get silenced? Is it all that different from the way Augustus gave Romans back their Senate and their votes, while he quietly ruled everything from behind the scenes? History is like a virus that mutates. It doesn't repeat exactly, but it rhymes. Every generation believes it's smarter, more moral, more evolved, yet every generation falls for the same power plays. A strong man promises to save us. A tragedy gives governments a reason to grab new powers. People cheer. Then decades later, look around and wonder why they're less free. Maybe the Roman mob wasn't foolish. Maybe they were just human, afraid, desperate, longing for someone to take away the uncertainty. Here's something no textbook wants to admit. Freedom is terrifying. It means taking responsibility. It means uncertainty. It means sometimes failing and having no one to blame. They offer certainty. Structure an enemy to hate a story that makes you feel safe. Caesar did it. Augustus perfected it. Modern leaders still use the same script. So when you look around and wonder why surveillance grows, why speech is policed, why your choices seem narrower each year, don't just blame them. Ask why so many of us are willing to trade liberty for comfort. Look at the trajectory. Rome went from small farms and citizen militias to global conquest. 2 emperors draped in silk, surrounded by slaves, ignoring a crumbling countryside. Eventually they fell, not because of some foreign horde, but because they hollowed themselves out. They spent so much time fighting for power, entertaining mobs, and looting provinces that by the end, there was nothing left to defend. Sound like any empires you know today? So here's the haunting question. Is Caesar truly dead? Or did his spirit dot the drive for power at any cost, simply infect every system that came after? Is it possible that every flag, every anthem, every election is just a more sophisticated version of Roman theater? And if so, what does that make us? Are we citizens of free nations? Or just better-fed Romans, applauding in modern colosseums? Thinking we're different because our bread is gluten-free and our games stream, you might expect me to end by telling you to rise up, to overthrow it all. But honestly, maybe the truth is darker. Maybe we can't change human nature. Maybe we're destined to keep rebuilding Rome, over and over, each time believing it'll be different. All I can say is this: watch carefully. Ask who profits from your fears. Ask why power always seems to consolidate, no matter who you vote for. Because if you don't, they just moved into modern times.